every Sunday at 12 noon, right here on TV 33, FM 88.1 podcast. You can call in live on the air at area code 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Of course, the area code is 313. That's 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. And now let's go live with the scriptural discussion of the Son of Man.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just, I greet all of you once again with the greeting words of peace from the Lord of the worlds. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, I want to talk with you and the things that I want to talk with you on is of they use the word tantamount importance. You know, I was talking with one of the brothers who knew me when I first joined the Nation of Islam. He and I were talking, but we stay in contact with each other. He used to be one of the secretaries. And and we were talking about how many of our how many of the believers that said they were believers in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, many of them now passed away. Many of them have sicknesses and in pretty bad shape. And but anyway, you know, he asked me what I was going to speak on today, and I told him that I was planning on, talking about America and Almighty God Allah's purpose for allowing America to come into being. And he was talking about how people's pride oftentimes will make them not be willing to listen and whatnot. It will make them ashamed sometimes to ask questions and so I told him that yes, I know that is something that I've spoke on many times, how when we were growing up in elementary school, I remember when I don't recall doing it myself, but I don't recall condemning it either. When someone raised their hand to ask a question, and then the class clown would say, "Oh, you a stupid thing, you don't know that." And so we would laugh, not realizing that we were actually standing and teaching ourselves by our actions to wear stupidity like a badge of honor, because they were making us feel ashamed to ask a question about things that we did not know. And consequently, many times, instead of asking a question because of our foolish pride, we didn't want to be laughed at, so we didn't ask the question. And so we remained ignorant just because we had the wrong kind of pride. Likewise, when we get to there are many aspects of pride that are detrimental to the growth of the human mind. For instance, racism. When we began to think that the color of the skin of a person means that they are smart or means that they are a fool. As with our case in America, we thought all white folks were smart. The black man that grew up in America, say back in the even the early part of the 1900s, and even now, most of us, we don't think we're getting a good education unless we're sitting up someplace where it's a bunch of white people. Even though, reality most oftentimes does not agree with what we are thinking. And likewise, white people who think that all black people are stupid. There are some who think that way. And so their pride will not allow them to listen to anything that a black man has to say. So that's one of the reasons why, what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching us, what he taught me, to the average listener, sounded like the flip side of the KKK. No one ever even, the majority of the people who heard him, the minute he said the white man is the devil, they didn't pay no attention to the other part of the claim that he was making, was that God revealed to me that the white man is the devil. They forgot all about what he said God revealed. Because if someone generally puts the name of someone with power on something that they said, it's just like when my brother man came to me and said, Daddy said so-and-so and such and so. Well, when he said Daddy said, then my ears perked up. Because I knew Daddy could put something on my behind if I didn't listen to his words. When a man say, God said this, or God revealed to me something, then my ears are also perked up. But the average person who, especially the black man, woman of America, the so-called American Negroes, we were made fearful of you, white people. I have to say it like this. I don't want people to think that I'm talking in a vacuum or speaking out of the presence of white people. Well, I learned even in elementary school that you didn't get no respect if you was talking about somebody, especially in the way of something that was maybe negative or disparaging about that person. Walked up and you stopped talking. Somebody, a lot of times that was the prelude to starting a fight, because sometimes you always had an instigator in the crowd to say, what was that you were just saying about homeboy? And and said, well, you was talking pretty loud a while ago. Now there he is. Won't you say it while he's sat there? And so I learned not to be saying things behind people's back that I would not say to their face. So I know white people are listening to me. So, you know, I always give them, anyone that I'm talking about, I try to do them like I would like to be done. If you're going to talk about me, then do it in my presence, so that if you say something about me that I deem to be not true, then I can address that. You know, you don't have to accuse me behind my back. If what you said about me is true, I will own up to it. And so likewise, you know, when we were babies, the average black person grew up with fear of white people in us. And that fear was put there uh, by them and their forefathers. And they, you know, taught us through their actions. That's one of the things that they meant that nigga a lesson when they would be lynching us and whatnot. They'd always do it out in front of all of the rest of us. They would mutilate him, not only kill the black man, and mutilate his body. And we didn't have any defense against them. And we've suffered that here in America for the past 400 or more years. Just like now, you shooting us down. And, you know, pretending to go through an investigation and all that kind of thing. How much investigation do you have to go through to find that there's injustice when one man had a gun and another man had nothing, and you shot the man down and claimed that you was fearful for your life when that man had nothing? I mean, I've even seen in movies, if you claim a man had a knife in the movies, they say only a fool bring a knife to a gunfight. So, you know, you hate us. You put all these racist, backward thinking, uh, white skinned people in our community that think that they are somehow uh, doing uh, doing their self and the white race a favor for murdering their fathers. You haven't heard any white scientists tell you that you didn't come from black people. You can look at your skin and tell you didn't come from the earth. That's why you are called Semitic people. You didn't. That don't mean no descendants from no Ham. I mean Shem. It means came out of the semen of another people, of another man. You're not an original man. You don't hear no white people putting no AB on the front of their ab Caucasian. There ain't no ab Caucasian. Even the name Caucasian means a made Asian. The aboriginal man is the Asiatic black original man. And from the Asiatic black original man came all of the men or races of people who was made from the original Asian or the original man of the earth. Asia means earth. So I'm not saying this to belittle, even though the people that were ignorant, Honorable Elijah Muhammad was just saying the opposite of what the Ku Klux Klan was saying. No, when a man tell a lie and say that he's, for instance, white people tried to make it, put the lie over that the white man was the first man or Adam was the first man on the earth. How could Adam be the first man when the book teaches you that God said, let us make man in our image? Well, if we made man in our image, well, then what was we? Didn't nobody say, what is man? What is that? If one man is made and is the image of God, well, you can't get an image without first having an original. So who is the original man? The original man is the Asiatic black man. The maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. You notice, even the term cream, you shake milk up and the butter and the cream begin to separate from it and rise to the top. See how everything all shook up? And look who's coming up to the top to teach everybody. See? You can't come in here and present no argument. Can't no white scientist come in here and present no argument against anything I'm saying. Because it's not me standing up here quoting what I heard somebody say. I understand what I'm saying, and I'm prepared to entertain argument if that's what they want to do. If you didn't come from me, where did you come from? So the only man on the earth don't know how old he is the black man. So you can be proud if you want to, and think that because you have a certain skin tone that makes you better than people. Just because I'm black, that don't make me a better man than a man that have white skin. The only thing that makes one human being better than another is what they have in their mind. If one has better characteristic, better character, it is because he has better thoughts. And even then, we don't have to envy each other. We can do with our mind. The brain is designed such this like you have computers. If one person has a program on their computer that allows them to do certain things, you don't have to be jealous. All you got to that same program into your computer, and then your computer becomes equal to theirs, regardless to what kind you got. You may have a desktop, and they may have a laptop. You know, what's the difference? It's still a computer. Don't make no difference what color the back of it is or whatnot. And you know, when you really have something of value, it's like I want to talk to you. I just want to talk to you a little bit about proud people. You know, certainly it's written that pride goeth before destruction. You know, you cannot destroy, no one can destroy uh, no people can destroy another people unless they first trick that people that they want to destroy into losing pride in themselves. Once you take a man's pride away, pride goes before destruction. And you look at any civilization, look at the fall. Look at you take so much pride in teaching the history of the Roman Empire and all of that kind of thing. Well, go and look at the history of the Greeks and the Romans and all of that. And look what happened to them when they and just began to just go for whatever, follow whatever they desired, start following their low desires. Then their civilization was destroyed. Not from the outside, but from the inside. It's just the same with them as if as long as you hold on to that steering wheel and look where you're going, you go right down the highway no matter how many crooks and turns you meet. But the minute you decide to just let go of the steering wheel and just kick back and ride and go along for the ride and let the car do whatever, you soon will be somewhere on the side of the road in a wreck. Maybe wind up dead. And we have to put restrictions on ourselves, and it is the right kind of pride that keeps a man even when he's lost everything. If he has pride in himself, he'll say, just like Job did, well, naked came I in the world from my mother. But until I do return, I got it once. The Lord blessed me with it once. I can go and get it again. But the minute you take a man's pride from him, he don't mind being seen laying down in the gutter. He don't mind being seen eating out of garbage cans. He don't mind walking stinking. Don't mind not taking a bath. That's what I mean. He don't mind not combing his head. He don't mind growing hair all over his face. And he could care less about what he looks like in the eyes of us. Because he has no pride. So, he's what we call a fallen man. A fallen woman is the same. She will do anything. And that's why you find women prostitutes. And as a lot of us use the term gutter trash and all that kind of stuff. But that's because she has fallen. And there's no upright thinking in her mind. There's no upright thinking in his mind. And since pride goes before destruction, pride must come before reconstruction. So, dignify the mind of a man and to dignify the mind of a woman by teaching them the truth that they truly are, the workmanship of the divine supreme being, and that they were actually created and made for the purpose to house the mind of God. Then that alone dignifies them. It makes them feel a little proud of themselves. And once a man feels the right kind of pride in himself, you just can't get him to walk around saying, I don't care what people think about me. He does care about what people think about him. So he made him a mirror. And he get in front of that mirror when he get up in the morning. Comb his hair, wash his face, shave himself. And if he don't have the best or the finest clothes, he makes sure that the ones that he do have are pressed and ironed clean. And when he walks out, if he's doing the best he can do, then wisdom dictates to him that he have no apologies to make to anyone, because he's doing the best that he can do. And anyone who makes fun of a man who's doing the best that he can, the joke is not on that man. The joke is on who's making jokes about that man. And pride, the right kind of pride, makes us get up and do better. So pride has a place in man, but foolish pride, it's just like gold. They have what you call the gold, and then they got the pyrite, their fool's gold. Well, you have pride, and then you can have fool's pride. Only a fool is too proud to recognize that there's no such thing as a person who knows everything. But it's not a great need to know everything, because if you did, life will be very good for you. Then the key is knowing that when I don't know, is know where to go and find out. Do you understand? And and if we humble ourselves, since we are reduced to the level of a child when we don't know, when you don't know, you're reduced in immediately. I don't care how old you are. When you don't know, you're immediately reduced to the level of a child. And if you know you are on the level of a child, why not act like that? Humble yourself and be exalted. You see, every teacher likes a willing student. And if you know how to present yourself and humble yourself, there's nothing that you can't find out just by having the right attitude. And your attitude, even in an airplane, the flaps, they determine the attitude or the angle at which the plane is moving in the air. And your attitude determines your altitude. So likewise, your attitude in life determines how high up you will rise in knowledge and understanding and wisdom. So we are, I look at people, I when I read the book, Fall of America, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, excuse me for drinking too long. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and it was called The Fall of America. And it is called The Fall of America. And it had America, an outline of the United States in flames. And it was called The Fall of America. Now, when I first saw that cover on that book, I said, man, America gonna be burned up. And literally. And so I began reading the book. And so for years, I was thinking that, well, I had my thoughts about it. I said, well, it's probably going to happen with nuclear war. It's probably going to happen with all of this unrest and wars that they done had. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he knew that I didn't understand, and he, even in the theology of time, he said, I know you will not agree with me. He said, but you will grow to do that. When he said I would grow to agree with him, that means when the same thing that Paul was saying in his saying over there in one of his epistles. Paul said, I think it's in Corinthians, but he said, when I was a child, I spake as a child and I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. And so when I was a child, in my understanding of what the messengers of God were speaking, I took things that they said, I took it all on the same plane, on the same level. I took it all literally. And but just as we call a woman who may have been, well, ain't no may have to it for the most part. Most of them were raised, if they grew up with a father and a mother, especially when I was growing up, the daughters were raised to be chaste, as in virgins. They wasn't promiscuous. They were, even if you went out with one, they wasn't going to let you go too far. And there were very few teenage pregnancies and stuff like that, because everybody was taught to be respectful. And when you saw a prostitute or whatnot, they referred to them as a fallen woman. They meaning, now I can look back on that. They say hindsight. Hindsight is nothing but history. When you look at something that's already happened, now you can study it, and you ain't got to guess about what it was, because it's there. And so they say hindsight is 2020. And when you look at the way a lot of the people used to say when they see you out, man, a brother or sister out there doing things that they should not. They say, your parents didn't raise you that way. Well, they may raise you where you've fallen from the way you were raised. Do you understand? And if you don't understand, then those phone lines are open. You can stop me. I'm not going so fast that you can't keep up. But if you don't understand me, it's because you didn't want to understand. It's not because I left something that needs further explanation. If you up on top of a house and standing on the edge of the roof, and you may be putting shingles on the roof or whatever, and you forget that you're on the roof, and you stand up and take a step back, like many times people will do, to look at their work, and you take a step back and you on the edge of the roof, there ain't no roof there, you gonna fall. You fall. And people say, what happened to him? Well, he fell off of the roof. Well, when you are taught moral values about right and wrong, when you have been taught the distinction, the difference between right and wrong, then if you don't accept that wrong, that teachings, after you have been taught that and people know that you know, when you start doing things that you used to agree and that you used to understand that was wrong, and then you start doing those things that you used to have a mind not to do, you have fallen. There's, in the 9th chapter of Isaiah, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad finished teaching me, when he knew I was awake, that was all he was supposed to do for me. He was, as the scripture says in the book of Malachi, before I read Isaiah, you can turn back to the book of Malachi. And in the book of Malachi, the 3rd chapter, it says, "Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me." Now, that would not be understandable, wouldn't have been understandable to me if it had not been for Jesus and what he said, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what he said. But after me putting them together, I understood for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told me in his sayings, he said, if you want to talk to Allah, read the Quran. He knew that just like any baby, you know, the baby it comes here with an innate, with a natural understanding of where to go and get its nourishment from. So when the mother offers the breast to the baby immediately knows what to do. All she had to do is put it in his mouth, and immediately he starts nursing. And so the Honorable Elijah Muhammad knew that all he had to do was put the Holy Quran and the Bible at my disposal and just start putting it in my spiritual mouth, and that I would know what to do. And so once he got me to doing that, that's why he said, you read the Quran. If you want to talk to Allah, read the Quran. You know you're talking to somebody when they start talking back. So as I was reading the scriptures, I found the different places where it addresses itself to someone called Son of Man. And as I was reading that, as it addressed itself, Son of Man this, Son of Man that, Son of Man say so and so, Son of Man this. And I was understanding what it was saying. And to my surprise, other people was not understanding what it was saying. So eventually, like any baby, parents know the baby's name before the baby does. The baby is given a name by its parents a lot of times before it's even born, before it's even conceived. The parents say, well, if it's a boy, I'm going to name him so-and-so. And if it's a girl, I'm going to name her so-and-so. Now that's a pre-drawn conclusion. So the parents know the name. And when the baby get there, they name the baby that. And every time they come in the room with the baby, they say that name. And they will Teach the baby to say their name. Say so and so and such and so. Say uh, this. Say that. Say Johnny. Say Mary. Say so and so. And then every time that name is heard, pretty soon the baby realizes that that word, that name is applying to them. And so likewise, the baby, by circumstantial evidence, it's like, I don't know exactly when I recognized that I was Marvin, but I know at some point in time, every time I heard the word Marvin, my daddy or my mother was looking at me. So apparently that must be me. Well, apparently, since I'm the only one to understand what the book is saying, I must be the Son of Man. So that's how it came about. Now, uh, the Bible teaches it speaks to me. It speaks to me in this same way, letting me know that Elijah was sent here to do things in front of me to show me how it should be done. And that's in the book of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. In the book of Matthew, it says well, first let's read it in Malachi. Now in Malachi, it is written in a slightly different way. In the 3rd chapter of Malachi, it says, "Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant." Now, where it says even the messenger of the covenant, that should be in parentheses. Of the covenant is actually the Lord. That's me. That's the Son of Man. But the way it's written there, you don't realize that it's an afterthought. It's just like if you say, I have 2 50-cent pieces, even $1. Well, you're saying, if you didn't understand, or you can say, I have 2 50-cent pieces or $1. We'll put or $1 or even $1 in parentheses because it's just restating, in other words, what you already stated when you said you have 2 50-cent pieces. Do you understand? I always, and I can say it like that because, many times people think I'm just talking on the air, but I have people sometimes sitting here while I'm talking to you in my broadcast. There are people sitting sometimes, and I always have my engineer here. And so a lot of times I'll be talking to him. And at the same time, I know that it's people in the conference rooms that I'm also speaking to, that if they have a question or whatnot, if they didn't understand, that's one of the reasons I let you sit in your comfort of your living room and nobody see you, So you can't claim you was shamefaced and didn't want nobody to see you or whatnot. Can't nobody see you no way. Don't nobody know who you are unless you tell them who you are. So you can't claim that you was ashamed to ask a question or ashamed to get deeper understanding if you didn't have understanding. Sitting in the privacy of your home, you can get some understanding and nobody can laugh at you or whatnot because ain't nobody sitting there. Even if you thought there was somebody gonna laugh, you could go someplace and listen to me by yourself. And you can ask me all the questions you want because this is a conference line and you don't have to be sitting at some place where people make fun of you. So you got no excuse. I've taken away your excuses. Praise be to God. So it says, even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in. Why does it call the messenger of the covenant? And then it said, whom ye delight in. Because if you believe in the book was prophesied to one day be made into a flesh and blood human being. Just like you mixed the medical book into flesh and blood human beings. And you call them doctors. Because that printed book can't talk. But once that book is ate up by the mind or by the vessel, man or woman, that go into that book and understand it and get the knowledge of it in their head, now the book is flesh and can talk back to you. So, likewise, I am the word of God in flesh, talking back to you. Now, you might say, well, I don't believe that. Seeing generally is believing. If that's not who I am, why all of these people who claim that they were representatives of God ducking me? Ain't nobody ducking them. So, I must be something different than they are because I'm the only one standing out here and offering you $20,000 if you can prove that I'm teaching something that's not true. And I'm teaching you that I'm the one talking about coming to you. That's me that the book tells you was coming. Okay. Now over in Matthew, where you read in Malachi, it says, I will send my messenger and he shall prepare the way before me. The 11th chapter of Matthew, and let's go to the 10th verse. It says, for this is he of whom it is written, behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came right in front of my face, showing me the true religion. The true religion is the way. He prepared the way in front of my face. And that's what the book says. I will send my messenger before thy face, and he shall prepare, which shall prepare thy way. You remember when Abraham and Ishmael was praying, they said, and show us our ways of devotion. I don't need to look to them Arabs and nobody else to teach me Islam. I'm teaching Islam that they don't have. Only thing they got right about the religion of Islam is the name. They got the right name. The name of Allah's true religion is Islam. But it's like pyrite. Pyrite, and I think that's what they call it. That's what I heard it was called. Pyrite and gold, they both got the same color. But when you look into the substance of it, when you analyze it, you discover that one of them just got the same color, but it ain't really gold. Okay, likewise, we have the same name, Islam. That is the true religion. But when you look into what I'm teaching and look into what they are teaching, you discover that I'm the only one that have the religion of peace. I'm the only man on this planet that's got a religion that is actually a religion of peace. The rest of y'all, you make war, shedding blood in the name of making peace. I don't know how you're going to make peace and claim you making peace and bringing peace to people while murdering their sons and daughters. I don't have to murder nobody. I don't have to kill nobody's flesh in order to make peace. I kill the misunderstandings that's in that flesh, and that's what makes peace. When you can do away with disagreement, when you can do, let me put it like this, when you can do away with factual disagreement, then you can make peace. But as long as people can present facts that allow them to disagree with what you're saying, you can't make no peace with them. Because what they have will not allow them to be at peace with you when they can prove that what you are doing is factually incorrect. You can't come in here and prove factually that I'm doing and teaching that which is incorrect. That's why you don't try. I have as my guide and my protector. I have the word of God. I have Allah himself. And he guides me. He gives me what to say. He didn't send me to speak with my own words. He said, Son of man, go and speak to them with my words. You see? And so that's what I do. And that shuts you up. I don't need you to unmute your phone just to tell me you agree with me. That's not necessary. Your silence tells me that you agree. So let's go to Mark. In the book of Mark, let it be in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. So let's go to the gospel according to Mark, the 1st chapter. And look what Mark had to say. In the 1st chapter, and let's go to the 1st and 2nd verse. It says, the beginning of the gospel of Jesus the Christ. That way you make it correct. But just saying Jesus Christ, that don't get it. But when you say Jesus the Christ, now you are saying Jesus the anointed. And he was the anointed one of God when he was with the people. And he said that. He said that he read the book of Isaiah and he found the place where it is written, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he hath anointed me. And after he finished reading it, he said, this day is this scripture fulfilled in your ears, in your hearing. He was letting them know that Allah had anointed him. Okay. He didn't say he is the Lord. He said the Spirit of the Lord was on him. Okay. He said, as in the prophets, it's the second verse. Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. There again, what did Abraham and Ishmael pray for? Raise from our offspring a nation submissive to thee, and show us our ways of devotion. Man coming over here from Arabia or someplace else trying to tell me to go and pray his way, worship his way. And I'm looking at him, looking over there at him, and a lot of his people running over here where I am, trying to get away from him and his way. What I look like picking up his way? I'll tell you what. You who think that you're going to, now you better listen to me good, because this don't just go for people on the outside of America. This goes for you on the inside here that's been slipped in here and is call yourself overthrowing it from within. I want to tell you something. You are on a fool's errand. Do you honestly think that God let this country come into being so you could tear it up? You soon ain't gonna have no mind, boy. I'm telling you. Now, I done told you a lot of other things. And when you think you just gonna, you think it's just is something that's designated to poor people. No, you rich people. Let me show you how insanity is creeping in on you and you ain't have sense enough to see it. When have you ever seen those who was behind closed doors pulling the strings come out and tell you what they've been doing? You've never seen them come out and tell you that they was back there doing these things. But Grover Norquist trotted out there just as bold and start telling you everything that he and his boys want to do. They don't know why they telling it. You telling it because as it is written, I will not meet you as a man. When the real man come in, the fakes can't play. You can't play man now. There's nothing secret that shall not be made manifest. Before Allah destroyed any people, he always showed why. You don't even have sense enough to respect the founding fathers of your own nation. You notice you never hear them, you don't hear them reading about what George Washington, what his parting words to the Union was and the things that he warned against. You know why they don't put that in the History Channel and all that kind? Why don't you bring that on the History Channel? Why don't you show that to the American people? Because George Washington warned you about the very stuff that these crooks is doing right now. Congressmen getting out, talking about they were signing bills, signing things that they didn't even know what was in it. He was just told to sign it. He got there and signed it. come out of jail and told you that. And you so busy hating me because my skin is black that you can't even see that devil sitting up next to you tearing up your country and got you misdirected. Have you ever sat down and thought for a moment, what do any black man in America got to overthrow your government with? What? If we get a gun, we had to get it from you. So how are we a threat to you? And the one who is a threat to you, you get all these boys come in there, and next thing you know, you don't know where he come from. He just pop up and he in the news and he all on the TV. People like Ted Cruz. Where'd he come from? Oh, he was a smart so-and-so. He was this, he was that. Ain't done nothing. And you notice, most of these boys ain't hardly got no children. Here, a man that's done served your nation. He's a white man, served your nation, even when he had lost his babies, lost his wife, and I was looking at how Joe Biden, when he was standing up there taking the oath of office in the hospital, and man living up there at the hospital with his children that had been in the accident. And he told the governor that if his situation did not allow him to be both a good father and a good senator, then he said, you can get another senator, but they can't get another father. You can't make that up. Then you looked at how he raised his children. How you know how he raised them? Look what his son Bo was. A war veteran, which means that he was a patriot. You don't get to be a patriot if you weren't raised in a patriotic home. Most time, as the old saying go, the apple don't fall far from the tree. I should say the fruit don't fall far from the tree. Man died in the service of his country. What does that say about how he was raised? And what does that say about who raised him? I have all the respect in the world for Vice President Biden. But these crooks that sit up in there and play their little games at the expense of the people that they supposed to be in there to serve. And notice I said supposed to be, because they not in there serving you. They serving the people who paid for their campaign, spent millions and millions of dollars to put a little puppet in there so that they could reduce your government to the size that it can fit in a bathtub. And Grover Norquist, he told you that. And he knew that the average one of you didn't know what he was saying. But he owns, him and his boys own your Congress. Then you got these Supreme Court, supposedly Supreme Court justices up there. Clarence Thomas is a joke. Justice Scalia I don't know what you look so much up to him for, because here this man wants to claim to be supreme in his thinking, but he don't see the detriment that that allowing people to put as much money in the elections of the United States government. In essence, he don't see nothing wrong with people being able to buy the government. He says, in his mind, that's freedom of speech. Well, tell me something. Since he thinks like that, see, nobody really argued with him, because they own the media too, you see. They did an interview with him, and they just sitting there puking up on him and stroking his ego. But if that's what freedom of speech is, then let me see. Do I have a right to get out here with a bullhorn or with a real powerful mic and just get out there and because I can afford to get all of the stuff that I can do and just talk and drown out everybody else and whatnot? See, you would say, hell no, right? Because there's an old saying I learned, and I learned it from white people. I learned it from listening. Your freedom stops where the next person's freedom begins. The justices used to have that understanding that allow too much one person or one group to be donating to campaigns of different people. The next thing you know, they'll be buying our politicians. We can't allow that. That system wasn't broke. Then why they call themselves fixing? You know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Certain things you don't want to change, but they've been undermining you like termites in your house. They're eating away at the foundation, eating away, and gradually undermining the Constitution. Gradually call themselves overthrowing your government. I done witnessed this up close and personal with the Nation of Islam. WD and a lot of them people that was in the nation disagreeing with the messenger, they wasn't honest enough to just leave. No, they wanted to tear it up. So they got themselves in positions of power and waited until, as the messenger said, the sun was going down. He said, "You are at the setting of the sun." He knew he was about to go away, meaning pass away. And you know what happens when the sun sets. It's about to get dark. So the messenger said, some of us will turn hypocrite overnight. And so when I saw all of these people that used to say they believe, and even a lot of them helped teach me, they coming back talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was no messenger, and he was a Master Farad Muhammad was a trickster, and all of this. And the ringleader of them, the chief of them, was WD. You notice, ain't none of them saying nothing to me. So I know what snakes in the garden to do. So I picked that up off of that movie, that mini series. I don't know if it's a mini series, but it's called Turn. And it starts off with a song, Snakes in the Garden, you know. But, you know, I don't care. You know, if you ever gonna fight somebody, you had better know who it is you fighting. If you start a war on somebody, you better make sure that it ain't God that you starting that war. All you got to do is look at the history of America. Look at the people that's in America. America is proof that humanity is one. You got, I was looking at a documentary of gangland or something like that. And it was showing some Mexicans, Spanish Americans in California. I think they call F-13. And some of the baddest ones, they was fighting with the Crips. And they was, they're killing each other, trying to kill each other. And they was saying any black thing they saw, they was pretty soon, they didn't even have to be no Crip. It's just anything black, he was gonna shoot it. And as I was looking at it, I remembered when they was showing that the Crips was walking around doing the same thing. Seems like everything we do, everybody else started wind up doing it. And so, but by the end of the documentary, after having been to jail and having, the same young man, Spanish American, he was saying he was now attending church and assisting a black pastor in church. And they was all, seeing each other differently now. And when you look at that, then it made what happened before mean something. Because if you came away recognizing that that was wrong, then a lesson bought and paid for through experience is a lesson that's well taught. And then you look at some of the people that's from the Japanese or Asian people, Chinese. You got people in America from Vietnam, from all of these different places all over the earth. You find people from those places in America that have applied for citizenship in America. And we have differences, yeah. But for the most part, getting along, which shows that if we can get along here in this country, then the nations all over the earth should be able to get along with each other. It's not a pipe dream, because it's already happening here. People from these places where claim they hate America so much, people, if what you have is so great, why are your people trying to leave you and run over here just so they can feel that they can have the freedom to educate themselves? or the freedom to speak a word of dissatisfaction without feeling somebody gonna blow their brains out. What do you have to offer better than what is here that everybody, many people from all over the earth is running, trying to get to America? Because for one thing, even with all of the faults that you see, you can still come here. You build your mosque. You can build your, if you buy you some property, you can build your mosque, you can build your church, you can build your synagogue, you can build you can worship, you can have a sign out there say we worship Satan here. And they protect you. Do you do the same to people who come to your place? Now, if this was just me talking, you do right to just turn it off. But let me show you something. In the you done found out that even the people, they didn't mean to. They had a little thing on there where the man acknowledged that the founding fathers was not Christians, but they did not, they didn't broadcast that. They let those who were or who considered themselves Christians, they let them go on and believe as they believe. They didn't try all of that. But I want you to see something here. Now, most people, and this is the 5th chapter of the Holy Quran. In the 5th chapter of the Holy Quran, and now I want you to understand something. Before you go there, I want you to go to the 3rd chapter of the Holy Quran, and I want you to go to in my Quran here is the 81st verse. It's called the Covenant of the Prophets. And then in the 100th chapter of the book of Psalms in the Holy Bible. You know, we compare spiritual things with spiritual things. We don't go in, I don't trust my own judgment on how to feel about and what to say about the messengers of God. I think that we would be better off to see what they said about themselves. It's just like when I hear a lot of you, I love the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But when I hear you talking about he was lace and all that kind of thing, that's your mouth. He never said that. That's you talking. And the messenger warned us against that. He said, some of you trying to put your place in the place of someone else. He said, trying to make, even make me somebody. Yeah. He said, I don't want nobody else's place. I only want my own place. And leave that place that don't belong to me to that man who belonged there. That's what he said. So, now, in in the 81st verse of the third chapter of the Holy Quran, it says, when Allah made a covenant through the prophets, and that covenant is the book, the Holy Quran and the Holy Bible. And it says, certainly what I have given you of book and wisdom. He said, then a messenger verifying that which was left with you. Now, the first one that he's talking to is his prophets. And he said to them, what I have given you of book and wisdom, then a messenger comes to you, verifying that which is with you. You shall believe in him, and you shall aid him. Okay. They said, when he asked them, he said, do you affirm and accept my compact in this matter? Their answer was, we do affirm. Then bear witness. And I too am of the bearers of witness with you. Okay. Now, when you shall believe in him, then the messengers of God are the believers. There ain't no doubt about them. You say, well, I'm a believer too. No, you're not no believer. In order to say you believe something and truly and be truthful, you have to understand it. If you didn't understand it, you don't know whether you believed it or not. I mean, if a person tell you something and speak it in a language that you can't understand, and then somebody asks you, did you believe what he said? Excuse me. Can you say you believed it? If you say you believed it and didn't understand, you can be accused of lying. Because what if somebody asks you, well, what did he say? If you say, well, then how you know if you believed it or not? No, the believers in the one that Allah was talking about here, the believers is his prophets. All of them believed in me. You don't, but they did. And I can call them to witness to help you to believe in me. Now, is anybody don't accept what I just said? Come in here and tell me why. I can prove you didn't understand the book. The greatest proof is you wasn't standing up teaching it to nobody. All you do is stand up trying to argue over it and want to kill somebody if they disagree with you. Or try to overtalk them so they can't, you try to drown them out with your noise. But you are not somebody who can claim that you understand these scriptures. The only one to understand them is me. You guessing at it and trying to put your own private interpretation on it. I'm showing you. The book says that the prophets is the believers. It says when Allah made a covenant through the prophets, saying, certainly what I have given you of book and wisdom. Then a messenger comes to you, verifying that which is with you. You shall believe in him. And he asked them, do you affirm and accept my compact in this matter? They said, we do affirm. He said, then bear witness. And I too am of the bearers of witness with you. What did Jesus say he came into the world for? He didn't say he came in here to save you. In the 18th chapter of the book of John, Jesus was asked by Pilate, excuse me, in the 37th verse, therefore said unto him, art thou a king then? Jesus answered, thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. What did Allah tell him to do? Then bear witness. Jesus said he came to bear witness. Now you can't call Jesus to witness on nothing you got to say. When you try to call yourself calling Jesus to witness, you be calling Jesus to witness and Jesus be witnessing against you, and you think that it's talking about something for you. So the believers are the messengers of God. Now, I'm about to show you why people leaving all of these so-called Muslim countries and coming to the country that the so-called Muslim countries call the Great Satan. But if you call America the Great Satan, then the books say if they say the master of the house is Beelzebub, how much more will they call they of his household? Well, you don't forget, I'm over here in this house too. You calling me Satan? Come in here and tell me why. Unmute your phone and tell me why you calling me Satan. What is God scared of the devil? Come in here and tell me why and on what basis are you calling me Satan? I'm not the one walking around trying to murder people. Let me see. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there's no truth in him. What words have I spoken to you about Almighty God Allah? What words that I've spoken is a lie? Point out the lie that I spoke. Now, as far as saying that, I mean, that America is full of wicked people. Yes, America is filled with wicked people. But so is the rest of the world. Now, any of you that's got something better to offer than what you condemning in America, point it out. Look what's happening in Iraq. Okay, yeah, I agree with you. The Bush administration, America had no business going over there starting a war in them people's country. Okay, we have an old saying though. If you knock me down, shame on you. But if I lay there and refuse to get up, shame on me. Who's doing all of this stuff over there now? Is that America? Or is that you doing it to your own self and your own people? Is America behind ISIS or ISIL? You may have some crooks who's making money off of selling weapons to them, hiding behind in the shadows and whatnot. But ain't nobody stopping you who call yourself a Shiite and you who call yourself a Sunni. Ain't nobody stopping you from coming to the table of brotherhood and remembering that a Muslim is not someone who tries to murder his people or any other people. A Muslim is one who submits to do the will of God. And it is not God's will. Who's around here call yourself lecturing me on I was over here telling the truth on white people. That the white man is the devil. You come there, humanity is one. And Muslim, that is not Islam. Is it Islam for you to be over there trying to kill each other? Is that Islam? Is it Islam for you to smoke planes and blow up people who are not actually making war against you? Show me any time in history where man shedding man's blood has ever brought peace. Show me any time in history. This is your chance. Show me in history where men shedding each other's blood brought peace. Only thing that did was brought the wish for peace. And wish for at the same time. You still haven't learned that killing flesh serves no purpose but to create more hatred and dissatisfaction. And the real enemy, a bullet cannot kill. Because the real enemy of man is the delusional mind. The understanding that is actually delusion, masquerading as truth in the minds of ignorant people. You like I said, if I was just saying this of myself, you would do right to just throw it away. But in the 5th chapter of the Holy Quran, it says the same thing. It says, thou wilt certainly find people in enmity against the prophets, the believers, to be the Jews. Oh, verse 82. It says, thou wilt certainly find the most violent of people in enmity against the believers to be the Jews and the idolaters, the lovers of money. You know them people that say money talks and everything else walks. Money is there. Why you say it like that? Because all of the stuff that they idolize, like they car, you get off my car. They shoes, you step on my shoes, nigga. All that money buys all that stuff. So they are an idol worshiper, idolaters. The Jews and the idolaters. It says, thou wilt certainly find the most violent of people in enmity against the believers to be the Jews and the idolaters. Those who are most violent in enmity, in disagreement and hatred against prophets is the Jews and the idolaters. Turn to the 8th chapter of John and look at what, now you see why when I spoke to them rabbis, none of them believed in Jesus. In the 8th chapter of John, it says, and I'm going to start reading at the 39th verse, and I'm going to go kind of fast, but I want you to keep up. It says, they answered and said unto, let's go to the 31st verse. No, that's take too long. The 37th verse. Jesus was saying to the Jews, he said, I know that you are Abraham's seed, but you seek to kill me because my word hath no place in you. I speak that which I have seen with my father, do that which you have seen with your father. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. And Jesus said unto them, if you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham. You know, just because you the seed of somebody, that don't mean you their child. Jesus was letting you understand that flesh don't make you the child of somebody. That make you their seed. But what's in you determines whose child you are. Your actions and your deeds tell, what do children do? A child is made. His parent have him obey him. Huh? They make their children obey. What does your mind do to your body? Makes it obey, huh? Okay. So now you know when Jesus said you're of your father, he's talking about the mind that's in you. You're of your mind, the devil. Them is your devils this. What's in this cup is of this cup. Do you understand? And what's in you is of you. So Jesus said, but you seek to kill me, a man that hath told you the truth. This is the 40th verse of the 8th chapter of John, which I've heard of God. This did not Abraham. You do the deeds of your father. To him, we be not born of fornication like you. We have one Father, even God. And Jesus said unto them, if God were your father, you would love me, for I proceeded forth and came from God. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand that I meant that in a figure of speech? Even because you cannot hear my word, you are of your father, the devil, and the lusts of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he's a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. He that is of God heareth God's word. You therefore hear them, you are not of God. That's all right. It says, then answered the Jews. That's what I was trying to get to. Who was he talking to? He's talking to the Jews. What did the Holy Quran say? Thou wilt certainly find the most violent of people in enmity against the believers. Jesus was a believer in God. And who was the most violent people? What did it say? Then and said unto him, say we not well, thou art a Samaritan and hast a devil. And Jesus answered and said, I have not a devil, but I honor my Father, and you do dishonor me. They still dishonor him today. They don't recognize Jesus. Just like if you walk into a bank and they say, we don't accept Discovery. We don't accept this one again. They don't honor them. They don't accept them. These Jews, they don't accept Jesus. Just like when Benjamin Netanyahu came over here to speak to the American Congress. That man don't represent no nation that respect Jesus that you claim you believe in. Ask him, you should have asked one of them. Ask Netanyahu, do they accept Jesus? He would say, no. And how's your friend? I don't care how mad he get. What are he gonna do? Kill me? If the fear of death stops you from doing that which you know is right, then you are already dead. You're just walking around, dead man walking. So now it says, and thou, now go back to the 82nd verse of the 5th chapter of the Holy Quran. It says, thou wilt certainly find the most violent of people in enmity against the believers. The believers of the prophet. It says, to be the Jews and the idolaters. Those are the most violent people in enmity against the prophets. And thou wilt find the nearest in friendship to the believers or prophets to be those who say, we are Christians. Now you see why people are running from these places that claim to be Muslims. They're running here to America, to Christians, to people who they are Christians, because they get more respect. They get more freedom from tyranny and from oppression in a country where people call themselves Christian than they have in a place, in a country that they was born in, that call themselves Muslims or worshipers of God, while in reality, they don't worship Allah. They worship themselves and their own idea of Allah. And they don't want nobody telling them anything different than what they already claim to know. So Allah leaves them alone in their inordinacy, blindly wandering on. You can sit up there and get mad at me all you want. when the one you ought to be mad at is every time you look in the mirror, you ought to be mad at yourself for being such a fool. Now, if I'm lying, I mean, why ain't people running to you? If Islam that you have is freedom and justice and equality, why are people running from you? No. They're running from you because there is no freedom. There is no justice. And there is no equality under you. There's only oppression and tyranny and greed and selfishness and niggardliness and murder. Shot a little 14-year-old in the head because she wanted to learn. Yeah, a man with a history of burying his own girl baby alive because he mad because he didn't have a son. He gonna bury her alive. Any man that had a heart that wicked, you can't teach me nothing about Islam, boy. You will never teach me anything but not to be like you. Now, you haven't yet understood Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad was no murderer. Prophet Muhammad was not no oppressor. That's why he grieved himself to death over you, because he knew how you was. Didn't want to walk around here in his name trying to murder people because they said something disparaging about the prophet. You do more disparaging things than a cartoonist. I'm so thankful that Allah gave me the true understanding of Prophet Muhammad, because if I had been listening to you, I wouldn't like him either. Because you misrepresented him. And he even said in his hadith that 3 generations after him, which is 90 years, he said, will no longer be of me. That's what he said. According to you. Did you know what they really want? They want people to look up to them and bow down to them and worship them. They don't believe in Allah. That's why they always trying to make Prophet Muhammad his partner. Prophet Muhammad never made himself Allah's partner. Don't you think it's strange that you see people say things about Allah, nobody ready to take nobody's head, right? Say something about Prophet Muhammad, then they want to take your head. Why? They are wicked. Allah didn't send his messengers to teach us to murder one another. He sent his messengers to teach us brotherhood. Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, they were not enemies. You can read their teachings and tell that they were brethren. And if they had met each other, they would have been brothers. And why are the people who claim to believe in them enemies to each other? It's because the Satan, the envious one, the jealous-hearted one, who actually envied Jesus, envied Moses. They wanted to be what those men were. And they love to hear you call them, this is God's man. This is Allah's representative. Yeah, he speaks for Allah. When did Allah say you spoke for him? You can't have it both ways. You can't on the one hand say you believe Muhammad was the seal of the prophets. In your mind, that means the end of them. Well, if you say Muhammad was the end of the messengers and the end of the prophets, who are these people that you calling scholars around here? What are they supposed to be? Just little greedy, selfish, ignorant men doing like we used to do when we was children. But at least when I was a child and talking about I was building a helicopter, we was when I got up on top of the house and jumped off with a sheet behind my back, I knew that I wasn't gonna fly. I wasn't fooling myself. I knew I could stand that little jump. The house wasn't but about 10 feet tall, and I could jump off of that without hurting myself. I jumped off and said I was Superman or whatever, but I knew that was not true. If you running around here lying to yourself, talking about you God's representative, if you really thought that, you'd come in here and talk to me. You're lying. Notice, I didn't say you're mistaken. I said you are lying. Because a lie is something you tell people deliberately to deceive them. Knowingly to deceive. You see? It's just like, many times, and by the way, and you make them think that it's the truth that you are sharing with them. So I was told, don't believe every word that you hear. Allah said, no, you try them to see whether they are of God. For many false prophets are gone out into the world. You see? So there's a lot of people out there, claiming that they teaching you the word of God when all they're really doing is teaching you the word of themselves. That's why when I invite them and invite you to bring your teacher in here you coming up here, call yourself fussing and going on with me and arguing and going on with me, and I ask you, well, look, get the one who you've been listening to and bring them, and you listen to me and them talk to each other. See, you don't realize I say that for one reason, and that's to manifest what's in you. I already know they ain't coming. But see, I want to know what kind of heart is in you. Because anytime I give you a reasonable request and you pretend that it's something other than reasonable, then it tells me that I'm dealing with one of them people who ran to the rocks, to the mountains and to the rocks of the mountains and said, hide us from him that sitteth on the throne. You see, you don't believe in these people that you claim you believe in. You just use them as an excuse to try to hide from me. You see, I know what you up to. You know, so you keep on pretending, boy. Just keep on pretending. I will fix you. Yep. You know, in the Holy Bible, in the book of Romans, it shared with me that knowledge. It says in the 12th chapter, excuse me, ask Danielle to step here a minute. Catch her before she leaves. It says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies, it's an S on mercy, because Allah didn't just send one prophet and one book or scriptures. He sent many. As it said, as the body is one and have many members, and all they being many are one body, so also is Christ. So, it says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren. You notice, I come to you, and I don't ask you to follow me just of myself. I do so by the authority of the Holy Scriptures. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the Scriptures of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. Surely my prayers, my sacrifice, my life, and my death is all for Allah. Present your bodies a living sacrifice, not my will, but thy will be done on earth, as it is written in the 8th heaven. You notice number 8 is for the symbol for infinity, unending. That's what the Holy Scriptures are. Hidden in the Holy Scriptures is a kingdom that shall never end. Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end. There's an above them, 8 will bear the throne of thy Lord. Why? Because he's the Lord of the heaven and the earth. I am the first and the last. The first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. I am the first and the last. And it says, present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. We don't ask you to do more than you are capable of doing. It's unreasonable to ask a man to do something that's just not in him. Huh? But when you call upon a man to do what he can do if he will, That's not unreasonable. You see, that's part of being able to understand whether or not a man is truly a leader or just someone who would like to be a leader. It's one thing, it's a lot of people would like to lead, but don't know how. You don't have to wonder if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a leader or was just a would-be leader. All you had to do was look at the people who was following him and look what he had them doing and look what he was able to, by using them in the positions that they were in, to accomplish what he needed. I mean, you were praising Malcolm, but who had sense enough to put Malcolm out there knowing Malcolm's abilities and used him to help push the program that the messenger wanted pushed? Who was the smart one? The one who chose him and put him out there. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the one that put the words that Malcolm was speaking. He put those words in Malcolm's mouth. Not so much as wrote him a speech, but Malcolm wasn't talking like he was talking before he was taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad changed Malcolm. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad saw the value of Minister Farrakhan and made him his national spokesman, his national representative. Because of his ability, he saw the ability in the man to be able to speak in an eloquent way, to be able to put the message that the messenger put in his mouth out there in the ears of the people. Do you understand? So we are not a people who just talk about leadership in an abstract term. We show you it's more to being a leader than standing up in front of people. You got to know when somebody else is more fit to do something than you are. And just because you're not out in front don't mean that you're not leading. Do you understand? Leadership also is having the ability to recognize people's talents and skills and not try to hinder them from using them, but use them in the cause that you say you believe in. If they come to help, let them use their skills to help. And if you are jealous of them because you don't want them to somehow, what you think, outshine you, you ain't no leader. Because a true leader knows that he's not just judged by what he does. He's judged on his ability to choose other people who can do things well that make the whole program that he's trying to promote come together and be successful. When they call a coach a winning coach, it ain't just because he knows how to pick his quarterback or his halfback. He's somebody who actually puts a team together and have them working as one and using the most talented ones in the position that they are best suited in order to be successful out there on their feet. You understand? You see? So you got a lot to learn. He's got people who were sitting up thinking that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was jealous of him. Ain't no teacher get jealous of no student that they teach. That teacher love to see his student grasp what he's giving him and be able to utilize it and use it. That's what he gave it to him for. But he didn't expect his student to come back with ingratitude and dishonor him. You know, you're some ungrateful people. That's what the book says. Surely man is ungrateful. It's just like when I reminded the man in the Ku Klux Klan, the national director, that we the one brought him up out the cave. You ain't never seen no black caveman. We brought them out of the cave. We sent Moses in there to raise them back up, to rule out their time. He didn't deny that. What you think? We could let you have dominion and can't take it away? If we gave it to you, common sense ought to tell you we could take it. You gave my people these civil rights. You gave my people a lot of these affirmative action programs. And you took them back. I've been watching you. And you justified taking them back because you knew you hadn't taught them how to argue with you when you was doing so. You wouldn't dare come in here and tell me nothing about no reverse discrimination. That's the same as when somebody owes you a debt. You ain't going up to the, you don't hear nobody going up to the Jews, no Germans going up to the Jews talking about, well, this is reverse persecution, making us pay you for what we done to you. No, that's an insult to any intelligent man. But you know you haven't educated my people. So you do to my people whatever your wicked heart dictate. But I'm here to put a stop to it. And I got plenty of help to put a stop to it. All the forces on this earth and in this universe are with me to put a stop to your injustice against me and my people. It's clouding up out there now. You through messing over us. You talk about everything. Well, what can we do? We're doing an investigation. Who is we? The brother of the very people who murdered us. You yourself and already said the police can't investigate themselves. The oppressor cannot investigate his own oppression. Get all these white officers out of the black community and replace them with officers that look like us. And then when we see some unjust black ones in there, then you let us weed them out ourselves. You see? The reason, brother and sister, that you don't get up now is because you won't let me help you get up. I still need 27 more people. 27 more of my people to put their name on that list, willing to help me get black people up. Once I have 100 of you, we will uh, talk, and if you agree, then we will immediately start doing what we've been looking around for everybody else to do. Some the government or whoever. We ain't got to be sitting here waiting on the government to do nothing for us. They say we free. Well, then what more we want? Let's exercise our freedom and do for ourselves. I will show you how. We can help our people. And it won't take long. You know, we're not stupid. You don't go through 400 years of what we went through with nothing but your wits to protect yourself and come out stupid. We lived in the jungle in Africa with lions and tigers and rhinoceroses and uh, pythons and all kind of things. And we had nothing but a stick. So we're not stupid, man. So we've been in these jungles, learning the ropes, and we're not stupid. See? So we want to don't never talk to people and don't give them a chance to talk back. If they disagree with you, you should give them a chance to say what it is they disagree with. You know, most of the people that come in here, Joe, Jack, and then me, they don't have no disagreement with nothing I'm saying. They don't have no facts to disprove anything I'm saying. They just don't like me, the one who's saying it, because I'm too black. And you know, when you're black, you can't speak in an authoritative tone. You turn people off. Only one who's allowed to use authoritative tones is white people or a black man who's speaking what white folks say. Do you understand? I know your problem. You know, you won't get back over me. I could not accept you being over me now, and no matter what you did to me. I know too much. A man with greater knowledge cannot be willingly subjugated by a man with lesser knowledge. You know, he just can't follow. That's just like you, a college professor being asked to sit in the classroom and let a 12th grader teach him something. He just can't do it. He thinks it's insulting to him for you to even suggest that he do that. And that shows him your lack of understanding. Well, you have to be totally put to sleep. You know, the black man in America is a totally new black man. New wine have to be placed in new wine bottles, not in the old. You know, no man having drank the old will straightway take the new because he think the old is better. Excuse me. So likewise, you're looking at a man who until recently didn't worry about his people. Here I'm a member of the most ancient nation on the earth. A nation that actually does not know its own beginning. And yet, up until recently, I didn't know nothing about the black man, but 400 years, about a little over, matter of fact, wasn't even 400 years worth. I knew what we learned about Negro history, and they call it Negro History Week. Benjamin Banneker and Crispus Attucks. Crispus Attucks was the first one to die in the Revolutionary War. And first, he was a black man. And Benjamin Banneker, he laid out the plans for Washington, D.C. And Charles Drew, he was the discoverer of how to store blood plasma. And they let him die needing a transfusion because he was black. And even though he gave them the idea of how to do it, he died needing to be helped by the idea that they got from him. So I didn't know nothing about the Egyptian history. Don't know nothing about it now. Not much. And what as kings and rulers, and I wasn't interested in learning that because I'm not trying to redo that. The most people, they don't. The white man never taught you why we learn. He taught you go in education for a job. That's not the purpose of learning. That's his purpose for you to learn. And so the subtle message in there is work for me. That's the subtle message in there. Go learn how to work for me. Do you understand? And we accepted that, But many people, they go after knowledge like people go after money. And they say, if you ask one, you want lots of money for? What do you want lots of money for? So what do you mean? Well, that's what I'm asking you. What do you want lots of money for? What kind of question is that? They want lots of money so they can buy cars, so they can buy houses, so they can buy clothes, so they can buy shoes. How many pairs of shoes? I want enough shoes to fill up my room. You still can't wear but one pair at a time. So they really just want it for the sake of having it. They're not actually trying to accomplish anything. That's the way most people go after knowledge. They don't go after knowledge out of the need to accomplish something and to achieve that thing they knowledge to help them achieve it. That's why when you go to the schools of this world, you're not going there to achieve knowledge for the purpose of accomplishing something. You're there to get a degree because your degree is worth this much money. A BS degree, I think, is worth what, $35,000 a year, something like that, 40,000. Then you get a master's, and that's worth 60,000 or more. PhD, you get up to the 90 and 100,000 a year. My degree is worth so and so. But the fact of the matter is, that's not why intelligent people go to seek knowledge. Intelligent people will not you. They want the knowledge, but they're not interested in your degree. They're interested in getting what they went there for. They'll take a course in this or a course in that in order to uh, hone their acquire knowledge that they need in order to accomplish something they are trying to accomplish. Uh, and we were taught to go get it so we can come out and show our degree and our papers to someone and say, "See, I'm ready to work for you." It's time to put a stop to all this. It's time to, you know, if it wasn't time, I wouldn't be standing up here explaining it to you. You don't have to wonder when it's spring. When you see stuff blooming and growing up, you know what time it is. Huh? Okay. And nothing hid now. They're showing you how they made the movies so that whatever you was deluded about, you know now Spider-Man was hanging on some real cables and stuff, and that all that stuff that you saw on there was just made up. Nothing real about it. Huh? So who you gonna blame now? So so soon they're gonna quit lying about how many people viewing us online and stuff. You know, right now they're still lying, but you lie all you want. That ain't gonna help nothing. It's just hurting you. That just shows that you are really afraid of the truth. That's all. You don't want to, tell people that this uh, man is getting more and more people paying him attention. I know you're paying me attention. How could you not be paying attention to a man who done called all of the religious people and political people out? Ain't none of them said a word. First they ignore you, then they attack you, then you win. I got that right. I didn't make that up. Let me show you. I guess I still got it here. Might be gone. Let's see. Let's try this. Yeah, that ain't it. Y'all give me a minute here. I'm looking for it. I think it's the next one. I think this is it. Let's see. Y'all give me a minute. No, that ain't it either. Um, I know I had seen it somewhere, but I can't remember exactly where. I must have. But I was looking at it, and I thought it was pretty interesting that but I got that from, I think it's Chris Hayes. That was his name. But I can't seem to find it. If I don't ever find it, I'll just let it go for now. Let's see. That wasn't it. Let's try it out. There it is. Now, let's get you hooked up here and let you hear. So they was talking about, they started off talking about this transvestite, transsexual. What's his name? Bruce Jenner. That's Caitlyn Jenner now. But Chris Hayes he interjected something about Gandhi, and Gandhi said, he said first let me see, what did he? How did he? First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they attack you, then you win. So you'll notice that was the same with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They ignored him, then they laughed at him because there's them old crazy Muslims. Then when they saw him keep on growing, they started attacking him. And then before it was over with, they would declare Elijah Muhammad. Do you understand? So that's how Gandhi said it happens. But you know, I just pick up little stuff and I'm out of the way.
Being a new type of hero, talking about defining your own identity, which is a really, I think, important issue, I think, for younger people these days as well. So seeing Caitlyn Jenner out there delivering talks, it's really quite, I think, inspiring to see their courage.
You know what Gandhi used to say? First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they attack you, and then you win.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true of life. Thank you, David Corn. And we're going to be good here about these things.
Of course
we're going to learn, because learning is the best part.
She looks beautiful, doesn't she?
Janice, thank you.
Stunning photo.
I may not go that far, but I do appreciate your taste. Anyway, Eugene Robinson, sir.
But she looks beautiful, doesn't she?
Janice, thank you.
Stunning photo.
I may not go that far, but I do appreciate your taste. Anyway.
You know, I respect Chris Hayes because, you know, he, as he said, Chris Matthews, because even when his other panelists said, well, she's beautiful, he said, well, I wouldn't go that far, but I respect your, you know, he's very, very laid back and mild-mannered and calm. And, you know, you don't have to agree with everything a person does or says to respect their right to their belief or their feeling. And if they're willing to discuss it, then you can have an intelligent discussion with them. And if they are truly in error, then, and reasonable, then you can show them the error of their ways without conflict. You know, as they have an old saying, you can show them your disagreement without being disagreeable, meaning without all of that physical and verbal abuse. You understand? The best way to do that is by questions. It's just like when you saw on A Few Good Men, where the colonel was not different. Jack Nicholson character, the Colonel, was asked by Tom Cruise, the lawyer, about why the private Santiago was being transferred. And he said, because of the danger. He felt he was in danger. And that's what the Colonel responded. And Tom Cruise asked him, he said, grave danger? He said, is there any other kind? That's what the Colonel responded. And so he left that. Matter of fact, the Colonel went on to say, he said, have you ever stood on the front line? Tom Cruise said, no, sir. He said, have you ever had to put your life in another man's hand and he put his life in yours? He said, no, sir. He said, well, we follow orders. When men don't, people die. Are we clear? He said, yes, sir. He said, Crystal. He said, yes, sir, we're clear. And later on, he came back to that same subject. Because he asked him, if you told Lieutenant Caffey, whatever, Lieutenant Kendrick, do you, that you did not want Private Santiago touched, would he ignore that order and go out and, he said, no. He said, surely he could go out and say, well, the old man don't understand, and he said he'd never do that. He said, so they can't pick and choose what orders they, And once he locked him into that, see, that's what happens when you lie, though. You forget what lie you told. And then he brought him right back to what he said. So you say Private Santiago was in danger? He said, yes, he was in danger. He said, but you think that men, when you give an order, they don't disobey that order. And you say, then he went to say, well, sometimes. He said, no, you didn't say no sometimes. You said that when men, Marines disobey orders, people die. He said, I can get the court reporter to read back. He said, I know what I said. I don't need you to read it back. And he said, well, if men follow orders, then why would Private Santiago have been in danger? And then he cursed at him. Well, that's the way people do when you catch them in their lie. Then they want to start cussing at you. And I'll tell you something else. For the most part, when you're talking to someone that is having a general conversation with you, and it's no profanity involved, and you say something that kind of backs them in a corner, that makes them manifest that they haven't been totally truthful with you, you will hear them, generally they'll manifest that by swearing at you, or cursing, whatnot. Like any animal, when you corner him, he will bare his teeth at you. Even the most wimpy dog will growl at you when he don't see no way out. You understand? just food for thought. You have to learn that. Once he got that out of him, he knew he had him, and everybody that was listening knew he had him. He caught him in a lie. And it went Colonel from there. But anyway, that's why a lot of people don't want to come in here and talk to me. Because I ask questions, they don't know why I'm asking them. But unlike most people, they don't know how to hold a conversation with you. Because they were never really taught how to hold a conversation. In school, we were not really taught to listen. We were taught to record. We weren't taught to reason. We was taught to repeat. You see, repeating what someone says does not actually require listening and analyzing. It only requires you to hear it and say it back to them. And that's the way we were supposedly educated. And when you really analyze that, you understand why they call your educational classes your program. People don't really realize that. They've been telling you what they've been doing to you. And, let me see your program. And then you look at it and you see you go from this to that. Well, I got second period, I got English. My third period is woodshop. My fourth, I got fourth period lunch. I see you got fifth period lunch. You understand? It's a program. And then when you go to class, they just tell you, learn this. And they say, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times. You learn your timetable. You know your timetable? Yeah, let me hear it. And he says, ooh, you get an A. And so you got that, and then they, 1 + 1 is 2, and so forth and so on. And so consequently, because you just took in what you were told by the teachers, you were taught that programming you is teaching you. And so that is the way people listen to you. They listen, and if you say something to them that they don't have any reference for in any of their books, they consider school is over. That's the subliminal message there. And you graduated from high school, the 12th grade, and if you went to college, you graduated, well, your learning is over. It's time you now going out here and do your thing. And so most people, they come out of school with a closed mind to anything that contradicts what their program told them. I mean, it's just, it's a message in the educational system that if it ain't been told you already, don't pay no attention to it. You see, and that's the way most people are. You see, and so I talk to people, and I quickly discover that most of the people I'm talking to, they don't listen. They're not listeners. And I can tell that they're not listening by what they say after I say something, that have already made clear that we can move on to the next thing, that we can build on what we can both agree on, what we both should be agreeing on here. And when you give a person that is reasonable something that refutes or disallows or shows them that something that they thought was wrong, then they immediately come into agreement with you on the new understanding that you just gave to them that they wasn't aware of. And then they say, well, what else is, then you can walk together to the next thing. But when you show them something that is actually against what they believe, and facts verify that what they believe in is wrong, and they said nothing, and they just keep on trying to represent that fact, they are like a computer that wasn't programmed to with the information that you bring in, and so it keeps rejecting what you were given and repeating what was put in it. Do you understand? And that's the way most people, they just, it's like you hear people, how many times I done stood up and showed you that Jesus didn't teach what you teaching. Jesus condemned people for trying to kill him. He condemned the Jews. He said, you seek to kill me, a man that have told you the truth. He said, Abraham did not do no such thing. Another place he said, did not Moses give you, you keep around trying to kill me? Well, if Jesus was fussing at him for trying to kill him, why would you keep on lying and saying Jesus came here to die for you? Because you are like that computer. Some certain computers, you can't put no more in them because you won't. It's memory is full. If you understand what I'm saying. And so that's what you did, and they call it education. You just memorized a lot of stuff. You don't know nothing. You don't understand nothing that you memorized. You just memorized it and keep repeating. It's like people, you never asked a question, and then you get mad when somebody asks a question and accuse me or anyone who would ask you of disbelieving in God. Just like you say, well, Jesus paid the price for our sins by dying on the cross. And then if I ask you, well, how's him being murdered paying somehow for the wrong I do? What is it? How that work? You notice nobody come in and say how it worked. You just got to believe it. Jesus didn't say we believe what we worship. Jesus said we know what we worship. I mean, we understand what we worship. Now I'm trying to get some understanding so I can worship with you. Come in here and share with us how Jesus being murdered 2,000 years ago somehow is supposed to save us all from our sins. If we believe that he murdered, died for us, that's supposed to save us. Come in and explain it to us. Because right now that sounds very unreasonable. And if you say that his death was the price that was paid for my sin, well, then you say he took his life back Well, then he pay. Now what? Like I've told so many people, the man who calls himself an atheist is closer to the truth than the man in this world that claims to be religious. Because the atheist is actually telling you religious people that your religion don't make no sense to him. And how can it make sense to him when, if you would be truthful, it don't even make no sense to you? That's why you won't let nobody question you about what it is you preaching. You notice, ain't nobody came up to me and told me that they found some culture or some civilization somewhere on this planet that's a better civilization to live under than the United States of America. Even when Saddam Hussein went to annex Kuwait, the Kuwaiti government called on the United States to stop the aggression of a man calling himself a Muslim against another man who was calling himself a Muslim. The Kuwaiti people claim to believe in Islam. The people in Iraq claim to believe in Islam. Then why would they be aggressing on one another? And why did they call on people who call themselves Christians to help them stop the aggression of someone who calls themselves a Muslim? Those nearest to the prophets in faith are those who say, we are Christian. And it didn't say those who are Christian, it said those who say we are Christian. You notice, ain't no white folk coming in here when I tell them that that the Bible is not a Christian scripture. Don't none of them come in here and argue that. For the first time in their life, they learning the truth, just like you. All of the prophets were Muslims. So I'll tell you what. I had promised you all I was going to go into the vision that George Washington had. So I guess in the next half hour from now, I'll go into that. And if it will meet you back in the conference room a half hour from now, and excuse me, and we will keep teaching. But that number is area code 712-432-0075. And the access code is 912-932, followed by the pound key. And we will also be streaming live on YouTube, also on the internet. And so you feel free to join us. And the fall of America wasn't talking about doing away with America. It was talking about the fall of America from into what you see now: men marrying men, women marrying women, and all kind of pornography and all that kind of stuff. America has fallen. It's time for you to either lay there and wallow in it or get yourself up. I'm here to offer you a hand up. I advise you to take it. So, let us keep us safe and in our right minds. And I'll talk to you in a half hour. if it pleases Allah. May Allah's salam alaikum.
Your conference